Have you ever visited a clinic and used a medical device like a syringe or had a surgical procedure done? Have you stopped to think about how those devices actually come to be? From just an idea to a tool that saves lives? Well, it's not a magic. It's a super structured process and it's designed to protect every single one of us. It's a journey that demands absolute precision at every step. So let's trace that path from idea all the way to the user. That leads us to the big question, probably the most important one in the entire medical device industry. How do you ensure that the device is safe and effective? The answer isn't just we try our best. No, it's a rigorous systemic framework designed to turn good intentions into proven safety and effectiveness. That framework is called design control. I've been involved in medical device design and development, engineering, quality and regulatory, and operations for over a decade, and am known for transforming complex medical device challenges into innovative, sustainable solutions, leveraging my experience from industry and academia. The best way to think about design control is as the guardian of patient safety. It's a formal, systematic process that ensures every decision, step, and choice in creating a device is deliberate, documented, and reviewed. Why is this so important? First and foremost, it's for patient safety, non negotiable. It's also a legal requirement from regulatory bodies like the FDA. And from a business standpoint, it's simply smart. Catching a few flaws in the design phase is much better than recalling thousands of faulty devices from the hospitals, which could ruin a business's entire future. To help us understand all this, we have a roadmap. This diagram is famously known as the waterfall, and it will be our guide throughout the training. You can see how each step flows logically to the next, from the initial idea all the way to the finished, proven medical device. So let's start right at the top. The design control procedure starts with a planning step. This is where we define the intended use, the intended population, regulatory needs, team responsibilities, stakeholders, timeline milestones, and the steps or roadmap that you will follow to develop the device. This plan is not static. It can be revised, updated, reviewed, and approved as many times as needed. The first step in the roadmap is called user needs. You may have heard other concepts, other terms as concept of operations or functional requirements. This is the big picture goal. It is not technical, not filled with jargons, usually a simple statement from the point of view of the doctor or patient or the user, describing what they are trying to accomplish or achieve or what problem they're trying to solve. Very high level goal. Once you have the user needs, and it's a process, it requires some skills, some training, and a team effort. Once you have the user needs, the next step is about translation or taking those user needs and converting those into engineering requirements or design inputs. Taking a real world problem that is a doctor or patient is experiencing and turning that into a precise engineering plan. It's where what if from a doctor or a patient becomes an engineer's here is how we are going to accomplish that. This is where the magic really happens, the fun happens. This is the translation from user needs to what we call design inputs. Now, you may have heard the term called system requirements. Design inputs are system requirements. So there might be a user need that says the device must be portable. That is subjective, right? High level requirement. Device must be portable. Now we need to translate that into a design input, something that's concrete, measurable, and you can verify with objective evidence. So the portable becomes total device shall not weigh more than 3 pounds. plus minus a tolerance maybe. Or there might be user need that says the device must have a long battery life. That is also subjective, right? So in design input, you translate that into something like the battery life shall be 8 hours or longer. Converting those user needs into design inputs or engineering specifications, even though it's fun, it's rewarding, it requires some skills and training and team effort. Why? To ensure that design requirements are captured clearly and precisely to avoid mistakes down the road. So this is a long training, but I'm going to go over just a couple of examples so it doesn't become long. But in face-to-face training, we spend a lot of time in this phase. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. Now let's take a look at this user need. The patient needs to feel safe and comfortable during the procedure, with water at a safe, pleasant temperature to avoid tissue damage or discomfort. See how many elements or how many features or how many potential information then you can identify. Let's underline some of them right here. Feel safe, comfortable, water at a safe, pleasant temperature, and all this is to avoid tissue damage or discomfort. So now this is for a colon hydrotherapy device. The technical team, will next have to define or identify how many design inputs they can come up with based on this user need, or how can they translate this user need into different design inputs. Now, there could be more than one design input, even though there is one user need, because the user need is subjective. Design input will be objective. It has to be measurable, verifiable. So let's take a look. As we translate that user need into design inputs, the first design input could be something like this one. The device shall incorporate a temperature-controlled water mixing valve with real-time display, digital display. Now here is two things together, the mixing valve and the display. They may act together, work together, or you can have two separate design inputs right there. The bottom line, there has to be some type of control as needed by the user need or from the user. The second design input is the device shall incorporate a safety thermal shutoff to prevent temperature exceeding 103 degree Fahrenheit. Now it's not really quite complete. It tells you that you need to have a safety feature, like a shutoff feature, but it doesn't say whether it's an automated feature or a manual feature. So you can expand on to the next one, or the design input number 2 could be something like this one, the third one. The device shall include an automatic safety thermal shutoff that immediately stops water flow if the temperature exceeds 103 degree Fahrenheit. The bottom line is taking that user need and then translating this user need into as many design inputs as you need in order for to meet that user need. And you do so by using this process, by discussing with the users, discussing with the team, and then finalizing and the testing and verifying to make sure it all works. You see, this step is the absolute foundation of the whole design, which brings us to a core principle often heard in engineering: garbage in, garbage out. It's simple, right? If your initial requirements or design inputs are vague, incomplete, or just plain wrong, then the final device will be wrong too. No way around it. The quality of the entire project depends on getting this step right. Be mindful that this is where many design issues occur: incomplete or ambiguous design inputs. Therefore, it's critical to have a defined process to ensure all design inputs are verifiable. User needs and design inputs can be categorized into different sections such as performance, safety, usability, regulatory, incorporating all sources of information you have, including engineering design or engineering standards. Therefore, You turn that garbage in, garbage out concept into quality in, quality out, good in, good out. Once you have the solid design inputs in place, the engineering team create what are called the design outputs. This is the complete recipe for the device, including modeling, detailed drawings, margins and tolerances, software code, specific materials you may need to complete the device, step by step instructions for assembling it. This is a huge undertaking by the entire project team. And this whole process is known as the design process. Keep in mind that this process is iterative, where engineering, risk management, and usability run concurrently to ensure that the design choices address all safety, performance, and usability concerns. The tools you may use include, but not limited to, CAD software, FMEA for risk management, coding software for software management, systems thinking and creative thinking, among others. System thinking, creative thinking, root cause analysis proven to be very effective in my experience in design and development in the ideal creation of design outputs. As we discussed, the design outputs are the recipe. These are the tangible results of the design efforts, including technical drawings, CAD models, software code, material specifications, packaging. Outputs must directly align with and address the design inputs. Then comes verification and validation. From the design output phase we just completed, we have a recipe and also built some prototypes. Now comes the moment of truth. We must prove it actually works, and we do so in two distinct and important ways. Pay close attention because this is a crucial distinction that confuses many people. Verification versus validation. Verification asks, did we build the product right? Did we build the product right? It's a technical check. It's an engineering check. Validation, on the other hand, asks, did we build the right product? Did we build the right product? It's a user-focused check. It's a validation check by user. Before moving any further, let's discuss design reviews. Medical device design reviews are formal, planned checkpoints conducted at critical stages of development to systematically assess the adequacy of design requirements, verify that design outputs meet design inputs, and identify potential risks or issues before they become costly. These cross-functional meetings require participation from engineering, quality, and regulatory teams, as well as other teams as needed, along with at least one independent reviewer who is not directly responsible for the design stage being reviewed. Documented records, including meeting minutes, participants, and action items, must be maintained in the design history file that we'll talk about to provide objective evidence that the device is safe, effective, and compliant with user needs. They are verified and reviewed in design reviews. Once we have proven that we built the right product and we built it right, it's time to figure out how to make thousands or maybe millions. And this is another critical step, the handoff from the design team to the production floor. This process is called design transfer. And its goal is to make sure the manufacturing team can build the device as designed, as intended. Not just once, but every single time. And therefore, it involves all manufacturing steps: manufacturing equipment, equipment validation, work instructions, ensuring everybody, the staff, is trained, and verifying that the production equipment is functioning properly to produce the device or the product every time as designed. As we go through the design and development process, the entire system depends on three crucial sets of documents. Let's pay close attention to this as we go through one at a time. The first one is the design history file, or DHF. It contains the complete story of how the device was designed, from the initial user needs all the way to the final test reports. If the DHF is the story of how the device was created or the recipe was created, then the device master record or DMR is the recipe itself. It is the finalized, approved set of instructions or master documents, specifications that manufacturing uses to build the product. Finally, to complete the process, we have the device history record or DHR. Think of DHR as a diary or birth certificate. It provides proof for every batch of products produced. This file verifies that each device was built exactly according to the DMR, the recipe, shows that we followed the instructions, and presents the results, which is the DHR, as proof when needed. This creates a traceability all the way from the design history file DHF to DMR to DHR. Get it? But the work isn't over yet once the device ships. Medical devices have a long life cycle, and the design process must account for that. Think about it. What happens if you want to make a change down the road? Every single change, no matter how small, has to go through a formal control process, a change control process, an approval process. First, you must formally identify and document the proposed change. Then you evaluate it by assessing the risk and impact on safety and efficacy. Next, you need to verify and validate the change to ensure it works properly and doesn't cause issues elsewhere. Only after that, the team can approve the design process, the change process. This isn't about bureaucracy, it's all about safety. It ensures that a seemingly harmless change to one part of the device doesn't have unintended, dangerous consequences for another part. That's the whole reason: safety and performance, safety and efficacy. The whole process is fun and rewarding. It's a total team sport. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, you see how each team plays a critical part. Engineering lays the foundation with clear, verifiable requirements. Quality and regulatory make sure all the rules are followed, regulations are followed all the way. And production takes that blueprint or recipe and replicates it with all necessary steps needed: building, manufacturing process, tooling, equipment, you name it. It's not about separate departments working in silos. It's a single interlocking system designed for one purpose: to allow us to innovate safely. Remember, we talked about planning earlier. These roles and activities need to be defined in the planning stage. As the project evolves, team might change, the plan can be updated, reviewed, and approved as needed. So the project follows the same path, same step, same goal. When we strip it all down, this entire system is about one thing: preventing harm. It does that by demanding clarity, requiring proof, and ensuring accountability from everyone involved. It is the gold standard we use for things that literally hold a life in the balance. That kind of leaves us with a final thought. What principles from this process that you just learned could you apply to the important things you are building or improving? For in-person attendees, I give a quiz with MCQ questions and hold a fun and interactive discussions, Q&A, question and answer discussion. This quiz and its understanding also serve as a measure of learning effectiveness. You can request the quiz and a study summary guide via email or by following the instructions in the description below.